I grew up within the overlapping shadows of Bolsover Castle and the pit headstocks of Bolsover Colliery. Gazing from the wild playground of the castle parks, it seemed that Bolsover Colliery, the Coalite Plant and Markham Colliery all merged seamlessly into one smoggy smudge as far as the eye could see. Laundered sheets on the washing line always came indoors with new flecks of soot. Bus rides to Chesterfield were a virtual tour of local colliery sites. Community was a notion ingrained from an early age. I lived in a national coal board house on Bolsover's Wimpy estate. Moving to a council house then was a proud aspiration. Everyone's father, brother or son worked in the coal industry. Their shift work meant that as children we had to be constantly aware whose fathers were on the night shift, so as not to wake them by making too much noise when we played in the street. Day trips were with the Miners' Welfare Brass Band, playing in Skegness. Summer holidays were at the Rill Miners' Welfare Holiday Camp. Bonfire night was at the Miners' Welfare firework display. Christmas presents were paid for through the Miners' Welfare Christmas Club, a precursor to modern credit unions. Opportunities for women were limited, most mothers being housewives supporting the work and lifestyle of their male partners and offspring. I realised at an early age that I was different and that education was the conduit to a different life. I left home in 1984 during the year-long miners' strike, moving to London to be a student. When my first paid job turned out to be in a council housing department, I thought I had fallen into it by accident, but underground forces were at work. I realise now that the values I had absorbed in a close-knit community were hewing my career choices to protect and promote the importance of community. When London colleagues asked about my home background and they heard I was a miner's daughter, they seemed taken aback, as if influenced by strange notions of Victorian poverty and deprivation. Studying genealogy, I have found that my paternal ancestors for 6 generations were coal miners. I like to believe that the coal dust they breathed into their lungs was deposited into their blood and passed down through the generations, leaving particles of ancient coal in my body and psyche. As a consequence, I've always been drawn earthwards, fascinated both by archaeology and by digging into my ancestral roots. My great-great-grandmother, Annie Tivnan, came from County Roscommon in Ireland, brought to England during the 1840s Irish potato famine. Her father came to the English northeast coalfield for work and survival. She died in 1918 in a coal miner's house, a few hundred yards away from Cresswell Crags, a series of caves now recognised for their prehistoric significance. In 2006, I celebrated my civil partnership with my partner of now 26 years standing. I didn't know when I first met her that her father had been a geologist in Africa. Meeting her attached me to the subterranean yet again. My life is very different from that of my family and many of the people I grew up with, but I treasure my heritage, which provides me with a rocky stability. I take nothing for granted. All we have is what our ancestors died for. Life is change, how it differs from the rocks. In 2015, I returned to my Derbyshire roots after early retirement gave me an opportunity to opt for a quieter life away from the rat race. Colliery spoil heaps have been landscaped, and to visiting friends they look like early stirrings of the Peak District. But if they scratch beneath the surface, the coal is still there.